hey, Christian, what's the most important thing about film production?
The setup, pre-production, the most important part.
But you know what? A lot of people think that, but you're kind of missing a step.
Oh, right. The kickoff calls, because that's how you set up your prep.
Right. That's where you got to get all the right questions answered at the right time and set deadlines for those answers so you can put your prep on the right path to success.
Exactly. Right. And this can be accomplished with 4 kickoff calls. You need at least 4, in my opinion.
And I think for us producers, the most important one is the one with your producing partner, either the ad agency producer or your main client contact, because that's where, like you said, set the tone, set expectations, give them deadlines for when you need these answers, because timelines are already way too short for prep.
I know. We could always use more prep time, right?
And budgets are shrinking, so don't waste any time. So what we've done is we put together our top 7 questions that you should ask your agency producer or client now on that very first kickoff call.
Not only does it help answer questions that you may have, it also allows you to set the tone and, establish yourself as the leader of the project, which is also a very important step as well.
So we'll put a link in the show notes where you can get on our website and take a listen to our free audio bonus. Another delightful conversation between me and Sister Christian about best ways of setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, it's a page turner.
Check it out. You all know the old saying, fix it in post.
Oh, well, yeah.
Let me tell you, the bane of every post-production team's existence is that phrase. And I mean, come on. Let's be real, when things go wrong in post because of something we didn't do on set, it can be a nightmare. You may be off working on another project, maybe in Mexico City or Argentina somewhere, and there are conversations going on around you about how things were left for post to figure out. It affects their deadlines, the budget, and worst of all, it affects the end result of the project.
But don't worry, we're here to help, y'all. Today we're talking to Pendola. She's the head of production from Roger.tv, big post house. They do animation, all kinds of stuff over there. She's going to give us a more comprehensive understanding of the post process, and stick around to the end because she gives us some actionable steps to be better advocates for our post-production teams.
That's right. So put down your coffee, turn off your phone, and grab a cocktail. I've got one. If you partake, I've got one. And stick around for this episode.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Welcome to the Producer's Happy Hour with your hosts, Sister Christian and Lawrence Lewis.
We're 2 producers with over 20 years of experience each, chatting over drinks about what it means
and what it takes to be a good producer.
Join us for insightful interviews and informative show topics that will help you get through your toughest jobs,
biggest production challenges,
and most difficult clients. So grab a drink.
You're going to need it.
And let's get to it.
Because making shit
is hard.
I've got my drink, that's for sure.
Well, at the time of recording this, it is the afternoon, so I'm having a drink as well. I'm very excited about it.
Good. How are you, sister?
I'm great. How are you doing, Lawrence?
I'm all right. I don't know when this is going to air, but as we've been talking about in some of these episodes, it's slow. I've been on hold for many, many jobs, and they've all kind of reconfigured or pushed or gone away. But yeah, I'm on hold for 3, so we'll see which one actually books.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that. And earlier when I said great, there's a little exaggeration. I'm fine. Really?
Okay. There we go. Now here comes the real talk.
Exactly. I've been, thinking and contemplating all of my life choices because I've had time to, but I think, but as, honestly, we are rounding that corner. I feel I've heard a lot more people are getting busy. So yeah, just, summer's coming.
It is. And by the time this is airing, we will or will not be in the middle of a writer's strike.
Oh, I know. It just made national news. So who knows?
Yeah.
But we got to keep an eye on that because it will affect, like our film and our TV friends. And then it trickles right into, copywriting for commercials.
Yeah. And they all come over into the commercial world when all those TV people don't have jobs. They're like, hey, commercials, remember us?
Yeah, remember
hire us.
I wrote on the Game of Thrones and blah, 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 blah. Can I please do your, pharma commercial?
Totally.
Well, today's topic is one that I'm really excited about because it's something that I know a lot of us brush off, being a better producer for your post-production team.
Yes, and we're excited to have Ann Pendola from Roger with us on the show today to talk about how we can be better champions for the project by working more effectively with our post-production teams. Welcome, Ann. Are you enjoying a happy hour drink with us today?
I sure am. I am very happy to be here.
Yay. What are you drinking?
I am still working on my coffee because that's how my mornings go. Very busy.
Hopefully it's
and
spiked.
I still need to stay awake.
Yeah,
Use your imagination. Yeah.
Your employers might be listening. We're not going to talk about it.
They don't know what time we've done this.
Yeah, they don't know. Yeah.
We're recording at 7 p.m. tonight.
Yes. I'm having a mezcal margarita. Everyone knows how to make this, I would hope. An ounce and a half, I put 2, of mezcal, an ounce of Grand Marnier, some lime juice, simple syrup if you want it. I avoid it, and a little slice of lime.
Ooh.
How about you, sister?
Well, since I have a work meeting directly after this recording, I am only having a wheat drink. No alcohol for me. It is, it's lemon, lavender, wheat drink.
A perfect prep for a work meeting.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to be too important, and I think I got it. So we'll see. We cover a lot of topics on these episodes, and there's not enough time to dive in as deep as we'd like to. So that's why we've created our episode guide.
That's right. Our episode guide contains all the links we mentioned in the episode, plus other resources and references, and it dives deeper into the show topic, as well as important industry news, which, we all need to stay on top of, especially with everything that's happening in the business these days.
Yeah, so if you're loving the show and loving us, of course, and everything that we chat about, then head over to producershappyhour.com and click the link to our show notes and sign up for our episode guide.
And do us a favor, after you get the first one, write us back and let us know what you think. We want to make sure the stuff we're putting time and energy into is valuable to you and you're liking it and digging it. And we love to hear your feedback.
Oh, we live for feedback, especially criticism. We love it. So please send it along.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
All right, on to our interview. Ann Pendola is an award-winning producer and longtime activist. She started her career in music video production and working for film nonprofit organizations such as North America Asian Telecommunications Association, Find Films, and the Filipino Women's Network. From there, she has gone on to work on projects with SNL, Dave Grohl, OK Go, CNN, Nickelodeon, Disney, so many more.
Oh, that's a lot. And currently serves also as a board member for Motion for All, a nonprofit aiming to provide software resources to underserved communities, and is head of production at an Emmy Award-winning creative studio called Roger. Ann, welcome to the show.
Yes. Ann, thank you for taking the time.
Happy to be here. I'm so
Thank
flattered.
you. Yeah, and I can't wait to dive into this topic because, this fix it and post bullshit. I'm sorry.
I know, it's so great.
Oh, yeah. I am holding it back right now.
Okay. Let it loose. Open the floodgates. Tell us how this sticks in your soul. Let's talk about what does it mean to you when you hear it?
Let's just say that I think it requires a little bit more consideration with post. It sounds so magical and sounds like such an easy solution to things that can happen on set. For example, like a big one would be removing a logo off of talent's clothing.
Oh, ooh, that's a good one because I wouldn't even thought of that.
Right?
Please continue.
Yeah, I mean that seems like it could be taken
It's only this
care
big.
of. Yeah, it's only a small little Chanel logo or something like that. But that could become a month's worth of work for somebody later on, and thousands of emails. So I don't think a lot of people understand the repercussions of fixing it in post, when maybe the easier solution can be done on set. Maybe it could be a new shirt. Maybe it could be a piece of tape. I don't know. Yeah, that's just one of the examples that sometimes not as easy to do. and also not cost effective.
Right. That is something that I see that does come up a lot. I can tell you I'm guilty of this, of clearances. It's a big thing that comes up from a lot of ad agencies because they've been sued. You know, there are certain agencies that are very focused on clearances, like all the way down to the pattern of the shirt, not a design, just the pattern of the fabric. I've been questioned, is this copywritten? Is it, I mean, you can't copyright a pattern, but, you know, is this proprietary? So everything from artwork way in the background to, like you said, logos on a shirt, the easy solution, the easiest way for me to get out of that situation is we can fix it in post. But you're right. Like that is a lot of, is it rotoscoping, tracking? What is the process to solve something like that?
Oh, it all really depends on how big and where it is and if the person's dancing. And I don't know. Right. Sometimes it comes down to even like their hair color or what was even behind them. There is just a lot of assessment that has to be done before making calls like that. I mean, we do magic. I won't undersell like post. We can do magic, but a lot of the time what requires to do magic is time and resources. And a lot of the time it's more than what the client is expecting. So sometimes that, you know, it's just something that really requires a little more thought than saying it can be solved in post. Yes. Yeah. Fixed in post. Yeah.
What is the one thing that you see live action producers do over and over again that hinders like post-production? Like if you had one thing that you would call out and say, please never do this fucking shit again, what would that be?
I would never say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would never, ever say that to anybody.
Okay, fine.
I'm very much of we're all on the same team. We all want to make something we're proud of and that we're going to show grandma, right?
We're all holding hands. We're, you know, like friends. Everything's copacetic. However, we do know as live action producers that some of our colleagues will absolutely do this is just a teaching moment, let's call it.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, I understand that there's a lot of high stakes decision making and a lot of time pressure on live action producers. But I think that one thing that could really help is just keep the post producers in the conversations, like even at the pre-pro meeting, you know, understanding that what you're shooting will go onto, you know, some hard drive eventually, and then come into my hands. And that it's not, you know, and that we will spend 2 months with that afterwards. It's just really just keeping, like, you know, post is not an afterthought. It should be something that's considered from the beginning, like specs, knowing what format needs to be provided to post. You know, that is like pretty
important.
Just having a conversation with someone on the post side
before shooting.
Before shooting. Yes. Right. Before shooting.
You know, and I can say that when I was a production manager, I definitely had producers who were like on the phone with the edit house or like during the shoot day would call and say, this is what's happening. And then the like, you know, post producer would be like, oh shit, and would call the agency or whatever. So that was great. But I also had producers who were like, whatever, our job is done tonight when we're done. And we turn over the film to the dailies. We turn everything over. So, you know, let them work it out. And I'm just like, okay. So, you know, like there is that school of thought where, you know, it goes either way. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Absolutely. I've definitely been on the receiving end of just wait until 1 a.m. so someone can drop off the drive because we're taking our time or we're doing, you know, it just happens. I get, but, you know, it's just like maybe a conversation could have happened so that we're not just waiting around for elements or for the footage that needs to get started, needs to get ingested, you know, after taillights. Basically,
because you all post-production folks are affected just as much as live action producers on these shrinking schedules. I would assume, right? Like, we're shooting stuff and it needs to be on the air in like 10 days, and it's like, oh my god, what is going on? Are you seeing that more and more?
We are. Schedules have been compressed,
Yes.
which has been interesting on the producer side, because it has depended a lot on us to find solutions for our team, finding ways to economize, finding efficiencies in our pipeline that can really benefit and meet the expectations of these schedules that are very demanding. Unfortunately, though, we are also still at the mercy of how fast computers can process things, and how much time is needed on clients' ends to communicate and get feedback and things of that nature. So yes, we are very much affected by schedules.
Yeah, there's something I'll throw to you, Christian, but there's a big difference between producers in feature and narrative that see projects all the way through post, and commercial producers or branded content producers that hand it over, because usually ad agencies or clients take over post directly and they're not involved. So there is I don't want to say lack of knowledge, but I think there is a little bit of a hands-off approach when it comes to the commercial and branded side, which puts us in the position that we're talking about. So is there a common misunderstanding that you think most people have about the post process?
I think the common understanding that I feel is a little hard for me is that it's all done for the live action. Like, live action is done with once you turn in your wrap books and taillights, that it's all done. And to a certain extent it is, but what we deal with afterwards, the quality of the footage, the quality of how our pipeline is a huge reflection of how well the shoot went. If we're having a really rough time in editorial finding footage that wasn't shot properly, or, looks a little different, or wasn't the right angle, or wasn't recorded right, that is a reflection of how well the shoot went. And sometimes those can be major hurdles for an editor.
That's interesting, because I can just imagine being in the edit suite and going through the footage and saying, wait, where is this scene, or what happened here? Mm-hmm. And when you're not informed, it's kind of like, I don't know, let me call the producer, like that kind of stuff happening.
Yeah.
But I could also see where even though a good producer on set will convey concerns about post to the agency producer, that may absolutely get, dropped or blind once they're in the edit. Then they start to, get pressure from the client. And then the spinning starts, right?
It's like, you never want to play the blame game either, because it's like, you guys are like our partners, and it'll be something like, where's this shot? Didn't we have a better take of this actor doing this line? And we'll say, we don't see it. There's nothing here that by that description. And then, it becomes this, well, whose fault is that? And then it could become any number of reasons of why it didn't make it into the, it could be, it's not real. That is something. Sometimes it's limited on time and resources on your end, and it's just, what can you do? But that's a rough one.
That sounds like a good cautionary tale for our listeners, that when you're in Video Village, making sure everybody is clear that you're moving on and that these are the shots that you have.
Yeah.
One of the things I hate to see, and you can speak about this a little bit more, like when things get dropped from shoots for money purposes, the first couple of things that go, in my opinion, are script supervisor, which is vital to edit, but also too, like, we need a data wrangler instead of a DIT, so the footage doesn't get colored, that kind of stuff. So they're not really, you're just getting ProReses, they're not transcoded to spec, that kind of stuff. So those are the things on live action that get cut almost first. So how does that, affect you guys?
I love script supervisors. They are our best friend. Like, we know when we're working with a professional and when we're not. It's very important. It's like, it always seems like something that isn't that helpful on set, or it's just the nice person sitting close to the monitor,
Right.
very quiet, who's just always just taking notes with their stopwatch. But they're vital to our editorial process. My God, it's just, they're the ones who are helping with director's takes, like giving notes, because I know how your guys' hours go. Like sometimes no one sleeps properly and makes their early call time and can't remember everything that happens or gets put into the camera. Or if a director says, I like that one, no one's going to remember that. So I'm just, this is like the waitress taking orders, waitress, I'm sorry, gotta write it down. I feel like this is one of those situations,
Write it down.
Write it down. Because it could really spare a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversations, and organization hurdles that we face in the post-production phase. The next day, even as soon as we get the footage, we know what we're looking at. We know what we don't need to waste our time on. Because the other thing that I think no one realizes, sometimes that stuff has to be synced audio-wise. So the audio is coming in one part, and then the footage comes in the other. And what helps us most is a scripty. Very important people on set.
It sounds like trying to save, like the day rate of a script supervisor actually puts a few days worth of work onto post.
Yeah.
So you're paying for it somewhere. So more cost effective to have one, it sounds like.
I would agree.
It is a good thing to point out, because I think we all assume in this digital modern age that, we transcode the footage and there you go. It's ready to go. But no, we actually are still a two system, it's two recording systems. Their sound is separate. So you're transcoding this footage with camera audio, but that's not the audio you're going to use. You still need to sync it to the audio that comes from the sound person. So that is, there's some extra time involved in that. I always wanted to know, you talk about things can only go fast as machines can process, right? There is actually a speed limit there. So I wanted to talk about, this comes up a lot of times on my jobs, anamorphics or shooting in RAW. And how does that actually affect the post process? Does it actually add time, money?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It affects the pipeline, certainly. But, we're also here, I'm not here to make my job easier. I'm here to support ambitious visions and art. And so I would never, suggest to limit by, not using anamorphic lenses.
Of course,
Yeah, with that, it does require a little bit of prep on our end to know that, they're shooting anamorphic. It's a little setting on our end that we have to consider when we are ingesting. It also matters what the end product is. Is it going to have a lot of visual effects applied to it? Is it going to need to be cleaned up? We just need to know what it is. Anamorphic looks great too. So, we can always work with it. It does require a little bit of planning and consideration. So it's something like, the director chooses to shoot anamorphic. Hopefully that post producer knows too, so they can get their schedules ready, provide enough time and resources that they need to make something we could show grandma. I mean, that's ultimately my goal all the time.
Impress grandma. Is it transcoding? Is it processing? Is it online? Is it data storage management? It doesn't slow down the editing process because you're editing in proxies, right? So it's just a matter of what?
It's usually on the online side.
On the online
typically.
side, okay.
I mean, I'm speaking in general terms for post.
Sure.
I think that once we bring it back into online, once we're starting to color, which this is another consideration that we have to do, but we just have to set it properly so that it looks the way the director wanted to, and then we prepare for that. We can't necessarily be surprised, because then that surprise will then be passed on to the client 2 months later when, they're just like, wait, why does it look like this? So that
I can imagine that conversation for sure.
And then, then we have to kind of shell out those technicalities.
Hey, Christian, why are locations always such a hassle in our jobs?
I have a quick story for you, Lawrence, to explain why.
Bring it on.
I get all kinds of jobs, and sometimes there's celebrity interviews where the celeb may live in another market that isn't New York or LA. So I have to find a location near their home because it's just an interview. Nobody's paying for a scout for that stuff. So I use a lot of those marketplaces, but that can be a huge time suck.
Oh, God. I do a lot of experiential, and I'm typically on way before I have a budget to bring on a scout. And I got to do a lot of pre-research on locations. Yeah, I've used those marketplaces too, but there's like a million steps between seeing a listing on one of those marketplaces, loving it, actually seeing it in person, and then securing it. It's just such a time suck.
Yes, and I can speak from experience because that's where our friends from Ave come in.
Yes, Ave is the first nationwide location scouting company. Not only do they have a marketplace where you can just, look at options for yourself, they have a concierge service where they access a private network of locations all over the country. It saves you so much time and money, and it helps you find the right location for wherever you need to shoot.
Exactly. So I just went on their site. I filled out a simple, quick form. I was paired with an amazing location producer, and then I received a curated report with multiple location options for my project. From there, they handled everything, including scheduling the walkthroughs, even on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m.,
nice.
to negotiating the location agreement. And I didn't need a permit, but they actually offer that service too.
And the most amazing thing about them is that there are no upfront costs. They only get paid if you book the location that they found, which is like so crazy.
Save time, money, and your sanity by adding Ave to your producer's toolbox. Just visit Ave at Ave.com. That's AVVAY.com. And then to expand a little bit on one of the things that Lawrence, one part of your question, RAW. So say I'm filming with 4 cameras and we're Alexa LF RAW because everybody fucking wants to film in that. And then we give it to you because your turnaround's really tight and we didn't have time, like nobody can transcode that much stuff on set. And we give it to you, then what?
Oh, you know what though? It really depends on the editor. While I've had very particular editors who were like, oh yeah, I want all the settings, from the DP. I want to know all the color that was applied on set and, and then processed into something. But I've also worked with editors who like working with the raw. I think that's something about like having a lot of time it's usually director editors, because they're like closer to the material. They just, they don't want to waste the day. They're familiar with what they worked with and then just kind of plug in and then work on it. However, the transcoding cannot be avoided, because not everyone watches in 4K RAW. Right. The end product will never be in RAW. It just really means adjusting when the transcode will happen. It's easiest for some pipelines to get that transcoded on set and have it in hand the next morning. But others want to work on RAW sometimes, but it really just depends on the editor, how they want to work, basically. Because sometimes RAW offers a lot of information too that might not get in a flattened out.
Or if you're constantly trying to move the frame in order to protect for social medias, then I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one of the common things that we always do is, we'll have like HD proxies made. I'll have a director who's like, well, I want to punch in on that, and then we actually do have to dig for the high-res RAW or something to see how much of the shot we can punch into, That's also one of those fix it and post type situations too. A lot of the time where it's like, oh, well, we'll just punch in. Which we're okay with. I think I'm okay.
It's like we got a 2-shot, we can just punch in and that's a single. Sure.
I've definitely heard myself go like 23 to 27% you're going to be able to get. Just a
you won't see that thing in the background.
We can just move it in post.
That leads me to cleanup, because I have a lot of times on set, we can just clean that up in post. Maybe it's a product and there's fishing line or there's a blemish on the packaging or fingerprint or something is just askew and clean up. How many jobs actually have hours budgeted towards cleanup? Is it that common that going into a job, yeah, we got 10 hours of cleanup and just in case?
Yeah, how do I answer this without calling any talent out?
We won't tell anyone. Just go for it.
There is like a considerable amount usually dedicated to compositing a commercial, like adding graphics, basic things like the logo of the company. Like we can do that, or usually visual effects, like you were mentioning, removing a wire or any sort of on-set visual effects. We're budgeted to do that. But when it comes to like beauty cleanup or set cleanup, that usually escapes a lot of the foresight in the bidding process.
Exactly. That's where I get kind of stuck a lot, is like there's no visual effects. There's no real effect happening. But like, I don't know, there's a blemish on this refrigerator door. Oh, we'll just clean it up in post. Is that really a reality?
Yeah. And it's totally doable. Like we can clean that up.
Of course,
but there's often a little surprise, depending on the way that the shot looks. Sometimes it's a really easy thing for us. Like something like I was just like, while you're in there, just like cover that up.
Just boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
That can be done. However, if it's like a slow motion shattered glass thing and you want something removed from one little shard,
every frame,
because somebody's hands look weird, that could be a little more involved. So I guess, and I only speak because these have actually happened to me, I guess, like speaking from experience, like it's funny, and I came from music video world also. So
there's a lot of beauty there.
There's a lot of beauty there.
A lot of cleanup.
Yeah. And sometimes people they want to appear a little different than they did on camera. So
it can be the Ray Liotta thing, like there's some skins that just unfortunately on camera maybe just need a little kiss of blur or something. And it can take 10, 15 hours depending on how much they're in frame, if they're moving or not, like you said earlier. And then also, sometimes celebrity or shows, like if you're working with a network, have approval processes too with the actual celeb. So then then it's like, it's out of my hands. You guys just got to figure it out.
Then, but to answer your question, no one considers cleanup. No. They sometimes lump it into our like compositing phase, maybe even in the color session, when we're like coloring things. They think that they can maybe enhance or hide things, but it's still a process, and it doesn't guarantee that it'll look perfect.
Right. Yeah.
So the easy solve is to get art in there to use some Windex on the fridge. It seems.
Yeah.
Just take like as long as they don't take like half a day to do it, I think you're good.
Okay, so then what conversations do you think are important to have with a producer before principal photography, basically? And then, because I don't know how often this might happen, but do you ever get a postmortem or any kind of way to discuss, what happened in order to prevent it from the future? I know that's an old school thing that we used to do. No. Like if you were on like a series of commercials that were with the same company over the course of a year, then totally with the editor. But if it's a one-off, then
yeah, I'm a fan of learning and getting feedback, just like you guys. So I'm okay with postmortems for sure. But with that, things to definitely speak to a post producer about would be just keep them in the plan. Like there's a lot of ideas that the director is not a part of post a lot of the time. And
especially if it's agency.
And it's, they just all need to be in the same conversation, have the same idea of what the end product is going to be. That way everyone can get happy, because then a post producer can manage like budget expectations and all of that.
You ever like talk about producers after the job is done?
Right?
Like, or just like, this is a shit producer, let's make sure next time. No, I'm kidding. But you ever just talk about it?
I mean, sure. especially if they're mean. Like we're all trying to work hard here, and like, if they're mean to us, that sucks. I've shown up on set where, and mind you, I started off as a PA too, so I know how special treatment was given to a lot of individuals on set. But sometimes, I've been on sets where like people just kind of like act like I'm kind of bothering them. So, it's just kind of like, hi everyone. And I will get a, and who are you? And who are you with? And I was like, oh, I'm with the post team. And they'll be like, oh, did you need something? And it's like, well, no, not necessarily, but I just want to make sure everything's getting in the can. Like, and they'll be like, do you need a chair?
All right, there's a dark corner we'd like to put you in, and maybe you shouldn't talk to us, and we're going to be rolling sound, so thank you, goodbye. Yeah.
Sometimes I think we should be a little welcomed on set.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I mentioned before, we can tell if, we'll be like, oh yeah, someone didn't know how to produce. This might have been their first job because, all of the footage is messy. We didn't get enough. They might have not gotten all their shots in a day, and those are all telling signs that maybe this producer needed a little more help on their end. So with that, I will understand and react with compassion, but just be nice.
Yes.
We will help you.
Yes, yeah. It's a common misconception that that post is always putting more work on the live action producer, and we're always putting more work on the post producer. But like at some point, we're all on the same team. So coming together and having those meetings early is key, and just working together and just being nice. My God, just be...
Yeah. And have a scripty.
And have a scripty, for crying out loud. And side note to all the producers out there listening, see, they do talk about your work shows in the edit bay, how well organized and how good of a shoot you put together is. So make that be a lesson. People are talking about you after the fact. I also do want to talk about transcoding, because I know we talked again about, raw and anamorphics. A lot of times it'll be like the 11th hour, we're getting kicked out of a location, and the DIT is like, I still need 3 more hours to transcode. And then it's like, oh my God, what do we do? We can't stay here. They live an hour away. They're already on their 14th hour. Transcoding is usually the responsibility of the on-set team. But how much does it affect you when we sometimes kick it over to you the last day or whatever? 'Cause it's like it's impossible for us sometimes to complete it. More and more, because the jobs I've been doing a bit multicam and anamorphic and all those kind of things. It's like, no, I need like 5 more hours.
Yeah, and I understand. Yeah, the media in itself is actually pretty hefty now. They want a lot of information on those files. So yeah, how it affects us is it just pushes time, obviously. The DIT, their position's interesting because they actually could also work in a post facility. Oftentimes they are the assistant editor. And so when a DIT is like, oh, I need 3 more hours, I would hope that same DIT could actually keep working even if they weren't on the location. I know that one of the things that is very precious on set are the cards that come off of camera. So if there was a way that maybe they could move the process to going home and processing overnight, that's also something to consider, because I understand like the pressure of location times and, getting people offset and all of that. It's totally reasonable. But there's also probably ways to maybe even divide and conquer, that I probably don't quite know, but it depends on like how everything's being shot, like how deep into the process the DIT is. Like, is there a stopping point? Is there like a place where he could stop and just take this and then keep moving at another location? Because oftentimes we can also transcode in the post side. It just requires, once again, communication so that we can line up an assistant editor on our end to take on the work.
That's interesting that you're equating a assistant editor and a DIT, because in our world of live action, the DIT is this coveted position that is union, and like they know their stuff and they have all this equipment, they're on set. However, if the same job can be done by an assistant editor at the post house, then
I guess it's a portion of the job, right?
Exactly.
It's the data management portion. So the DIT is kind of doing two different things, right? They're looking at the actual image and helping the DP make sure that the lighting's correct, there are no burnouts, blah blah blah, the color, the blah blah blah. And then they got this side job of doing data management. So like if you are on a job with, again, 4 cameras and you're rolling all day and there's a tight turnaround on post, you might need to have also a DIT and a data manager to just handle the cards and the transcoding. Or an assistant editor.
Or send, have explain to the post house what's going on. Maybe an assistant editor is the choice in this respect, if that's allowed.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to, I know that DITs offer a lot of knowledge on set because they have such technical prowess.
Just speaking about the actual,
that.
Yeah, we're not minimizing that. It's just actually speaking a part of the transcodes.
There is a solution on the post side, that could help. Because, a lot of the time, if we're just applying a setting to the footage and that is what's processing, we could do that too. But just in a non-modular station. We do it at our office. So that is something to consider. Also, something that would help is that a lot of the time, assistant editors can get started with whatever we have already. Like whatever's on the drive, we can work with that. It's not holding us up from work. So like if the DIT is like still behind and needs to stop and reset and try get more time, that's fine as long as we have something. Like I wouldn't recommend them to like hold up an entire pipeline because they, it might cost another hard drive, a little more time. But I mean, that's unfortunately just what happens.
It seems like communication.
Sorry to keep repeating that.
Yeah, no. But that's a theme throughout what we tell everybody. Like, most problems can be solved or issues or concerns with talking. Yeah. It's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
So, Christian, I know you got one more question, but before we do that, I just want to do some takeaways because it sounds like we've got a little bit of a roadmap here, right? It's like the producer should have a chat with the post producer, right? To talk about format, deliverables, shooting method. Are we doing anamorphics? Are we shooting raw? Discuss the VFX, the on-set effects. Talk about cleanup. If you know your director relies heavily on post, I've got directors that I know rely so heavily on post that I need to have that conversation with the post producer. If there's a celebrity or talent that might need some cleanup, I always have the DIT chat with the editor or post supervisor or something like that. That's common.
Yeah.
And then, look at your pipeline. And if maybe you need to get stuff to the assistant editors earlier, that might help ease some things, right?
Oh, I'll add there's a new one too that I think clients have kind of, have sometimes treated like an afterthought. But also knowing if you're going to shoot for social in a 9x16 rectangle,
everything,
now if it's going to go into that needs to be considered as well.
God, I can remember flipping the camera on its side on so many shoots when that first started to happen. It's like, no, you don't have to do that, guys. It was great. We need to shoot 8K. And it was like, we can need punch in, protect for both. Exactly.
Yeah, or they'll do pan and scan and it's like, okay.
So, last question. All right, everyone, close your eyes. Just take some deep breaths. Picture it, and it's your dream world. Not that we dream of labor, but it's your dream world. How would you partner with your live action producer to achieve post bliss?
Ooh.
I know.
I have been blessed, to have worked with a lot of good live action producers. And, it's only the very few horror stories that stick out. So with that, I think to achieve production bliss, to make the product that we're all proud of, I really do think It just means mutual respect for each team, understanding like that we all are tackling a different beast, but for the same goal. I think that a lot of post producers tend to think that, they're like, why is post getting all of this? And why do they get all the attention? All that. But I get it. It's high stakes. You have like very small windows of achieving those goals and could be affected very easily. You guys don't get Control Z or Apple Z, whichever platform you work on. We from Post understand that is something that you guys have a very high stakes window. And then for live action to also not just rely on Post, not to
as a solution to less time.
As a solution to some. Yeah, we're avoiding a few conversations.
Right.
I think as producers, we're very talented communicators. And we have so many tools, like we have phones and watches and like Zooms and this, there are ways to just have a conversation and know that you guys are all on the same team. I think that's...
And I will just say, I think that live action does sometimes just think that everything can be fixed in post. A different way to look at that is you're giving the post house what you have, and they have to fix everything that happened.
Yeah.
They have to put it together in a way that everyone's expecting. They have to clean it up. They have to edit. Like, you have to make the story, right? You're like putting it together and trying to minimize the impact of anything additional on post would be ideal.
And I think it goes the same way for us live action producers. I think we feel the same way when a bidder hands us the bid and it's like, well, we had to squeeze into a number, so you'll figure it out. It's the same thing for you. We just kind of shove it off to the next department, and it's like, that's not the best way to go about doing this. We can live in a happier world, can't we?
Yeah, just be mindful that there might be someone who might have to miss like an episode of Ted Lasso because they have to fix
they got to work late.
Refrigerator.
Yes.
Like, that there is somebody that will have, no problem can just be easily solved. I think that it could be pushed aside, but someone's gonna fix it, right? Eventually.
Thank you so much for having a drink with us today and giving us that inside look in a post. You work a lot with nonprofit organizations. Do you have anything coming up that you want to plug?
It's not just ready, but we are a small organization called Motion for All. We are helping out young artists have better access to really high-end software and giving it for free and giving them guidance from mentors that look like the people that we're like. A lot of the BIPOC community, we're providing them mentors that are also BIPOC, so they can see themselves growing in their career. And so, motionforall.org. And then, of course, my lovely home base of Roger.tv, always creating great things. So
amazing. Well, sister, how do people get a hold of you if they want to chat with you?
They can go to sisterchristianproduces.com. And Lawrence, if they want you, how do they get you?
My whole name, lawrencetLewis.com. You can find me there. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Producers Happy Hour is brought to you with the help of the handsome Christopher Daniels,
who is a design and branding specialist,
and Brendan Russell at podlad.com, who is our fabulous editor.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to dive deeper, subscribe to our listeners' newsletter. Simply go to producershappyhour.com to sign up.
Thanks for listening, and remember,
enjoy happy hour while you